It's time for a cup of coffee with Will and Chris at Slumberland Furniture. From Slumberland Furniture in Osage Beach, here are your hosts, William Holtz and Chris Schneider.
What's happening in the Lake of the Ozarks? It's that time for a cup of coffee with Wild Will
and Uncle Chris.
Right here from Slumberland at the lake. And this week, you saw the Lakeport Village project. It passes its first hurdle with the Osage Beach Board of Aldermen. But there's some pushback and there's some serious questions in regard to this.
Yeah, there really are. So we've got some feedback from some of the people voting on the TIF. And it's some very interesting points that are coming up that need to be talked about, discussed, make sure they're handled correctly as this thing moves forward. It looks like it's moving forward, but we, for the city, for the community, need to make sure it's done the right way.
Yeah, and some questions, we'll talk about that. Plus, we're getting ready for the second season of the LOZ featured doc series. And listen, we need to line up a couple more docs. So we want your doc. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about the Surdike mini mansion, turnkey, loaded. Wow. Still on the market, ready to go. Plus Memorial Day weekend right around the corner as we talk about the growth. AAA actually says you could expect record traffic coming through over Memorial Day weekend, and so expect traffic jams. We'll talk about that and a very special hometown hero after this from Daryl Cunningham with Slumberland at the Lake.
Hey everyone, Daryl Cunningham with Slumberland Furniture at the Lake. We're in the middle of our memorial sale. You need to come and check out all the great deals, just like this one. Buy the sofa and get the recliner for free. In the mattress gallery for $9.99, you get the mattress, adjustable base, and the bedding bundle. $2.98 gets you this wonderful recliner while supplies last. At Slumberland Furniture, not only do we give you big discounts, but we also have 0% interest financing for up to 36 months. Come check us out, Slumberland Furniture, where we're bringing happy home.
Yeah, so the Memorial Day sale extended through Memorial Day, and there's some crazy deals. I want some of those chairs for outside.
Those big Adirondack chairs?
Yeah.
Those are cool, man.
Those are like $168 right now. Normally over $700 with the, was it an Ottoman you'd call it?
Yeah,
like
the
the
put your feet up on. Yeah, absolutely.
Those are awesome.
Well, and they got that huge deal on the sofa, right? Like 50% off.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
$1,200 sofa for $598. You get 4 accent pillows. So those deals are like while supplies last. So make sure you come check those out. Okay, so as we get this week's show started, the Lakeport Village project, the amusement park, the water park, now they're in the TIF and the redevelopment phases, and the TIF Commission sent their vote of 7-4 to the Osage Beach Board of Aldermen and unanimously passed Phase 1 with the Osage Beach Board of Aldermen at the meeting on May 18th. But since that moment happened, we saw the 4 no voters. We've talked with them, and there's some really good things being discussed in regards to this project.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the big project right there by the Grand Glazed Bridge on the Jeffries Road side. We're talking about the Oasis Amusement Park, 1,000 space parking garage, huge. 50,000 square foot water park that would have a retractable roof, so year round, and a 400 room Marriott Resort and Hotel Conference Center. So that's everything that we're talking about here with this $350 million development. So it's going through the TIF stages, as you mentioned. It's passed a couple of hurdles, but a couple of more hurdles need to be looked at and to be figured out. And I think the school, the local schools is a big part of this because the TIF, the tax things affect the schools, right? So that is an important thing. And we've also got some information here from Presiding Commissioner Ike Skelton and Commissioner James Gohagan of why they are not on board with this right now. It looks like Gail Griswold from the school board says it goes against the Camdenton School Board district policy created in 2013 to be opposed to a 100% TIF. But Gail went on to say, we did vote yes on the Outlet Mall TIF proposal because it was a 50-50 suggestion, 50-50 TIF, whereas this one is a 100%. Big difference, right?
Correct.
Could affect the schools differently. And then Ike Skelton, the presiding commissioner, says, I'm quite concerned that if the condo owners don't reach an agreement, the city may attempt some form of eminent domain. That's a huge deal.
Right.
Where the government can just come in and take property. And I think that was what James Gohagan was talking about too. So we've got some big questions still on the table regarding this whole thing that will set precedent for future projects for decades to come, probably.
Yeah, and I mean, it's an exciting prospect, right?
Yep.
An amusement park, a Marriott hotel, a complex that has a 50,000 square foot retractable roof water park,
Yeah.
a conference center. Those things are all very exciting if done properly. And as we've seen that property cleared, it's starting to look so different, right?
Yeah, it is.
And you still see, which is a point of contention, the Lakewood condos that have been there for a long time, and apparently about 1,100 total deeds of families that have timeshares and have rentals and have ownership in there. And as they cleared that out, I was under the impression that that was probably already acquired or purchased
That's what I
by
thought,
the
yeah.
developer. So that's where this got kind of sticky because negotiations are still ongoing. And so for the property to be blighted, and I want to give a little insight to what that means when a property is blighted. So a blight study was conducted by PGAV planners on behalf of the developer as part of the TIF application process. And here's what they found. The redevelopment area on the whole is a blighted area, a conservation area, or an economic development area and has not been subject to growth and development through investment by private enterprise, and it would not reasonably be anticipated that it could be developed without the adoption of tax increment financing. That is what the study, the blight study conducted by PGAV planners found, and I'm gonna call BS on that. As you see that area, even with Lakewood condos sitting there, you cannot tell me that is not an attractive piece of property to invest in and develop and build. You have the brand new topsider condos being put in right across the way. You've got the bridge right there, which is a beautiful view any way you want to shake it.
Yeah.
You've got Dog Days right in the cove next to it, right around the bend. And I mean, they have the so many great events, great food, the great facilities.
How is that a blighted? Yeah, I mean, I don't get that
Correct.
either. That seems to be prime property, not blighted property.
It's just interesting, and I think those questions are what are being raised. Now, when you talk about the comments that we got, Gail Griswold, and we were talking about the percentage, the TIF proposal, because the way that a TIF would supposedly help the school district is because real estate and personal property taxes would go to the Camdenton School District, or a portion. Now, this is what Tegethoff, the developer, had said in the meeting, that between real estate taxes and personal property taxes, the Camdenton School District is scheduled to receive $683,000, paid out over 23 years as the property exists today undeveloped. So they're saying with nothing happening that they project over the next 23 years that it's going to be $683. That's roughly $30,000 a year that would go to the school district. They're saying now if the Oasis at Lakeport is built, the school district would receive $24 million over the next 23 years, which would be more than $1 million a year compared to the $680,000 or $30,000 per year over the next 23 years. That's based on projections, and the only way that that would happen is not through real estate taxes, because I believe they're abated from real estate taxes to the school at the 100%, that's what that means, that it would only be personal property taxes. So there would have to be a lot of personal property that was taxable to generate $1 million of that percentage to go to the schools. So Tegethoff is saying that we're in negotiations, we're talking to the school, and they said to the school, so to make up for this, what can we do? And apparently the school district gave them a number, and they're still in negotiation. So I do think the developer understands that they have to try to appease the school, but up to this point in time, it doesn't seem like they are. And my question is, if this is truly a property that shouldn't have been blighted, does that then give the developer an upper hand at the negotiation table that are supposedly ongoing right now with Lakewood condos? So that's the first thing. The second thing is for Tegethoff's argument that, hey, undeveloped right now, that you're only going to get $30,000 a year if it sits the way it is. So you need to be happy that you're going to get $1 million a year if this developed. And that sounds good, but it kind of would be like going into a car dealership and saying, okay, look, if I leave here and I buy no cars, you make no money. But what I'm willing to do is buy one car, and you're going to then give me 2 cars with it. So you pick. Do you want to make no money today, and I'm not going to give you any cash, or I'll pay you cash for 1 car, but you got to give me 2 cars? It's confusing is what it is, and it's not true, because this is under the assumption that that property would never be invested in or would never be developed. And listen, I'm telling you, whether it was this development or this project, somebody was going to come in there and take advantage of that prime location and do the same thing they're doing by taking those trees down, maybe build onto Lakewood. So I don't believe everything the developer's saying. And I've reached out to Mayor Harmison to try to find out, hey, it looks like the city's against this, with 4 of the 11 TIF commissioners voting no. Do you think there's serious concerns and should be looked at again? And I did not hear back from Mayor Harmison, the mayor of Osage Beach, but I'm going to be reaching out to the developer, and I'm also going to be reaching out to the Lakewood condos, because in one of the reports, it said the owner or the vice president of Lakewood Condos was there and was not happy with the developer. And there was reports that is in one of these, whether it's the Lake News Online, first or second report, or the Lake Expo, which they did a great job, by the way, laying this all out, was the offer was sent to the Lakewood Condos. Lakewood Condos sent a counteroffer to the developer. The developer accepted the counteroffer. But now that all of this has started, the condo is saying, we want time to consider your guys' accepting of our counter. That also sounded a little fishy. Like if they made you an offer, you sent a counter and they accepted, deal's done, right?
Usually.
Apparently not. So there's a lot going on. And the most important thing is this was the first reading. The second reading will take place, or the second and final reading is expected to be at the board's June 1st meeting, and that's kind of where all of this will be figured out, and that is coming quick. I mean, that is next week, and so we're going to try to find out more information and hear from our mayor, see if we can hear from Mr. Tagethoff, the developer. But as it stands right now, you see 4 no votes. I want to mention, of the 11 TIF commissioners, Gail Griswold and Jacob Nushi, who are both on the Camdenton School Board. Gail is the president for the Camdenton School Board. And then from the Camden County Commission, our presiding commissioner, Ike Skelton, and 1st District Commissioner, James Gohagan, all 4 voted no. So it's not just like there's 4 of the 11 are individuals that have a bone to pick somewhere. I mean, these are 2 school board members and 2 commissioners. And so anytime your leadership at that level wants to take a second look, I'm with them. I want to take a second look and see a little closer before we move forward with this.
Absolutely. And Ike Skelton and James Gohagan, commissioners, explained why they voted no. So Presiding Commissioner Skelton said, I believe that blighting open, undeveloped lakefront property is a horrible precedent. He says that property sells by the running foot. And that's what we're talking about. This isn't worthless property. This is pretty valuable property, you know, and that's coming from Mike Skelton. And then James Gohagan said, it was interesting, in one of the meetings, it seemed like the developer was actually laughing at some of these people for their question. And Gohagan said, I did not appreciate the developer talking down in condescending tone to our school board members, very unprofessional. So you can see there are some serious concerns here. And we were talking before we went on the air. It's not that we don't want development. Obviously, we want development at the lake, right? But do we want development that's not good for the lake, that sets a bad precedent, does bad things? Absolutely not. So hopefully in this process, the development is happening, but in a positive way for the community. And these are things that need to be worked out.
And there's 2 other huge pressing concerns with this project that were points of contention in this meeting, is the traffic and the roadways on and off Nichols and Jeffries in that area, and also workforce and affordable housing, which are ongoing growing concerns for the lake. I thought it was interesting that the developer, Jeff Teghoff, who you remember when he got the TIF for the Nichols apartment complex, it was the missing middle that was supposedly supposed to be good affordable housing for the community. When asked about where are all these workers going to live, Teghoff, the developer, said in the meeting, well, they're going to live at the Nichols property. And it's like, so now I could bring up the question of being disingenuous. Was that supposed to be affordable housing for our community, or was that supposed to be housing for your workers for this huge monstrosity, especially when you're getting a TIF for both? Because this is not going to be a popular opinion, but I am still not 100% convinced that TIF, increment financing, is the best means to growth, because I want to talk about like Margaritaville, the Lodge of Four Seasons, Regalia, Old Kinderhook, who have been here. They didn't get a TIF, and it looks like just Margaritaville generates north of $350,000 per year in revenue for the Camden County School or the Camdenton School District. Where's their TIF? You know, and they didn't get 100% where they were holding. They're paying the real estate and the real estate tax to the school district and have been for many years. So the guys that are already in our neighborhoods and in our communities that have been here, have invested, are part of the community, they're not getting this break. And I want to know, how does this make them feel?
Yeah, that would be interesting to get their thoughts on it. And it's an interesting game. It's a business game. Obviously, the developers want the best deal humanly possible, right? They're in this to make money and all that good stuff. So you understand that they're playing hardball to try to get their best deal ever. But the community has to play hardball too to make sure they're not getting taken advantage of and setting bad precedents for the future. If they set the bad precedent of eminent domain, they can go in and take property from anybody, right? So it's a scary prospect. And I think that's what Presiding Commissioner Skelton was talking about there. Whoa, wait a minute. We're on some dangerous ground here. So yeah, all these things need to be worked out, and all this stuff is normal. You just hope that the city leaders are smart enough to work it out so that it doesn't end up hurting the community.
Yeah, another point of contention brought up was why, if this is so good for the community, is the only place that would potentially be losing their taxing and the benefit be the kids. It's like you cannot set a precedent in the Lake of the Ozarks in the Tri-County area that developers can come, and the way we lure them in is, hey, you don't have to give your fair share to the school districts or to Road and Bridge or to any of the important entities. And so, like you said, it could set a dangerous precedent. But to be honest, I have questions about TIF as a whole. If the Lake of the Ozarks has the people it does, the 10 million plus annual visitors, the beautiful body of water, and you think that you can make money down here, hey, we provide enough. Bring your own money, invest your own money, and make your own profit and pay your taxes. Or let's relook at the TIF as a whole and say, if you get a TIF, once you become profitable so many years later, it sunsets and then it reverses and you start paying the city back and can earmark those funds towards school, police, road and bridge, all of the important things that a city or municipality needs. But of course, that would never be accepted, or that's gobbledygook if you bring that up to a developer.
Right.
You know?
Again, they're playing hardball. They're here to make money, right? Absolutely. But everything is on the table, and that doesn't sound like a bad idea. You know,
I mean, because if we have to have a TIF to reach that level of growth, because it's inevitably not going to happen without the TIF, as that research or that study found. It's like, okay, cool. If you need help getting going, once you get going and you're taking advantage of all the lake has to offer, then pay it back in good faith.
Sounds pretty smart to me.
Sounds fair, but of course that's because where were the TIFs though for Margaritaville and Lodge of Four Seasons?
Yeah, they did that without any, well, as far as we know, without that TIF money. So
Right. So interesting. All right, so listen, we're going to move on to our next story. We're working on a great series. It's going to be the second year in a row. We've done the LOZ featured doc series. Last year's series, we only had 8 episodes. It was a huge hit.
Yeah.
Some of the greatest docs on the water. And we already started shooting our second season. We were out there the last few days working on that. And we're doing 12 episodes this year. It's going to start airing on Friday nights at the end of June. And we still have a couple of docs we want to feature. So if you're out there and you have a really cool doc with some cool toys, something a little different, or just something you want to show off, we would love to talk with you. Just email info@mylaketv.com and use in the caption, feature my dock. We'd love to get in touch with you and see if we can't come out and have some fun.
Yeah, you do such a great job on that series, out there having fun with the owners, and it's just so much fun to watch the features and see what these docks are like and everything. But meeting the people and getting to know them and stuff is really cool too. So yeah, and you know, when we're out there boating around, we see some amazing docks.
Yeah.
So let us know about those. We want to take a look at them.
Yeah, I mean, they're phenomenal, the innovation when you come to the lake and the way
Yeah.
people living on the lake, as you know, you run into situations where all the things you love to enjoy can sometimes be cumbersome work-wise, can be expensive, and you get innovative. How can I make this easier? How can I make this cleaner or simpler?
Yeah.
And some of the innovations that people come up with on their dock is unbelievable.
Fascinating, yeah. And like I say, last year's 8 episodes were so great. I'm looking forward to this year's, man. That's fantastic.
All right, so as we look ahead, also wanted to tell you some of the cool content we do. We also do the Lotto Home Series, where
Yeah.
we get a look at some of the coolest homes on the market today. And currently, the Surdike house at Woodland Cove is on the market, $1.99 million, and it is loaded with toys. I mean, it's got 6,500 square foot. It's got 6 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, the in-ground heated pool, the generator, but the toys with the boat and everything, and the wave runners and the slips. It's
amazing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, you know, and you got to go in there with Mr. Surdike and take a look around. I think you played some pool and all that stuff. That is one cool place, man. That is, and where is that again?
It's in Woodland Cove.
Okay.
It's off Cobblestone in Osage Beach, off of right next to Surdike Port 20, believe
Okay.
it or not, over there in the private gated community, but beautiful. And it's the 2017 boat, Yamaha jet boat is included, 2 Yamaha Wave Runners, 17 and 18, brand new Toblerone Emerge 4-seater golf cart. This is like the Taj Mahal of golf carts.
It's like the turnkey, wonderful, like mansion place to move into at the Lake of the Ozarks.
And even though it's not on the water, it has the community dock with 16 slips. Well, you get 2 of those, and it's got 6 easy port jet ski slips, wave runner slips, and 3 of those belong to you with this house, which is
I
crazy.
think I need to house sit for Greg Surdike and, you know, I get lost. I bet I'd get lost in that place.
Go to thesurdikehouse.com to find out more about that. Pretty incredible. Give Greg a call and let him know you want to go take a private tour. All right, so you saw the report that AAA believes this Memorial Day weekend is going to be busier than ever before.
Yeah, I tell you what, you know, obviously COVID slowed things down a few years ago as far as travel and all that. AAA projecting 42.3 million Americans will travel 50 miles or more from home this Memorial Day weekend. That's a 7% increase over just last year, 7%. This year, 2.7 million more people will travel for the unofficial start of summer, as we know here at the lake. And AAA says this is expected to be the 3rd busiest Memorial Day weekend since 2000, and that's when AAA started tracking all of this. Nearly 3.5 million expected to fly to their destination, 3.5 million. That's an increase of 11% over last year. Air travel over the holiday weekend projected to exceed pre-pandemic numbers with 170,000 more passengers. That's 5.5% more than in 2019. Road trips up 6% over last year. 37.1 million Americans will drive to their destination. That's an increase of about 2 million more than just last year. More people this holiday taking other modes of transportation, trains, buses, things like that. That total is 1.85 million, and another increase of over 20% from just last year. So
Wow.
Huge numbers there.
And
And
so-
if you think that's not going to affect the lake, you're wrong.
And they're saying, so expect traffic delays. And in Lake Expo's article, they went on to say the road to Lake of the Ozarks that is most clogged Friday afternoons this summer, in particular, the Kingdom City exit off Interstate 70 onto 54, with traffic extending down the exit ramp and causing congestion onto the highway. The Missouri Department of Transportation has plans to expand and reconfigure. That is supposed to start in 2026.
Yeah.
For those taking I-70 to Lake between now and then, your best is to head head to the lake earlier, and they're saying get down here way before noon on Friday. So come down Wednesday or Thursday. Do not try to be part of that wave coming in Friday afternoon, because you could be at a standstill for a while. And travelers are also encouraged to check MoDOT's Traveler Information Map for up-to-date information on road work and closures and estimated delays and things of that nature. Really handy tool that MoDOT has. I believe that's even through their app that you can check that right on your smartphone. So
Absolutely.
Really cool. But it's crazy to think that Memorial Day's already here.
I know. I was just thinking that you know, you suffer through winter, you get by, you're waiting for the warm weather, and spring drags on, then boom, all of a sudden it's Memorial Day weekend, and you know, and I tell you what, that backup on 54 coming into Lake Ozark and Osage Beach, that's a real deal.
Yeah.
I mean, the traffic gets so heavy, you're backed up toward Eldon sometimes, and that Kingdom City exit,
Wow.
we stopped there to eat one time. That was one of the biggest mistakes we have ever made, because I mean, it took hours just to get, you know, a hamburger and stuff. It's so crazy busy in there. Yeah, I'm looking forward to 2026 when they get that construction done, but it ain't happening this year.
And it looks like actually they're going to be accepting, I misread that, it looks like they're going to be accepting bids, and the funds for that project are scheduled to be awarded in 26. So it's going to be even longer than that. That'll be nice. And you're continuing to see the road work and the improvements, and I think that the lake is going to, with or without different developments that are on the table right now, people's interest in the lake and people want to come here and see it for themselves. It's on the rise. Also wanted to mention, speaking of Memorial Day weekend, everybody loves to be out on the water. Everybody loves to barbecue. Everybody loves to eat. And want to remind you guys that fireworks are all over the lake this holiday weekend into the Monday holiday. And our friends over at Lake Expo, they always do this every year, put together an entire rundown of fireworks this weekend from Friday and Saturday and Sunday and even on Memorial Day. So really cool. You go check that out on lakeexpo.com. You can also check it out on the Lake Expo app. So lots going on this weekend, but guess what else?
What?
Lots going on Lake TV right now.
Absolutely. Always fascinating stuff. Our friends Chad and Katie Brewer from New Spring Wellness Center join us on the Spotlight Show. They've got a really interesting story. I mean, we talk a little bit about New Spring and what they do. They do the IV drips that help you stay healthy, and they help people that are addicted, you know, really help addictions.
NAD, that resets your brain receptors. And I'm hearing more and more as we're out and about, people telling me that, and then we went to New Spring Wellness Center and had this, or this.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about just Gammix and, you know, I felt a little better. People who were addicted or had COVID and were on their deathbed and didn't want to have remdesivir, were ready to get out of the hospital, and New Spring Wellness did a lot for them. And there's such great people.
Yeah.
You got to check out the Community Spotlight Show. You can watch it every single day at 9:02, 3:02, and 7:02. Now and through Monday, of course, next Tuesday, we'll start with a new episode.
And Chad's story is amazing, because he's a
Unreal.
former alcoholic and he credits these IV drips to helping him, allowing him to get over the alcoholism and you know, get healthy again.
And not to give away their whole story, but they had a very successful business and they were very skeptical. Chad and Katie had tried everything to help Chad, and then he did the NAD boost, the 7-day treatment, and that is when he got freed of his alcohol addiction. And because of what it did for them, they left their very successful business career and started this clinic, because they said, this is our calling. We have to share this with other people. And I'm telling you, there are hundreds of lives in this Tri-County area and beyond who have received new life because of the products and services. But I can say not just that for me personally, but from the friendship and counsel you get from them.
Absolutely. And we know people that had COVID really bad that they think this might have saved their life.
I know 4 in particular that were not doing well during COVID, and nothing was working until they went to New Spring Wellness. And so you ought to reach out and talk to them and hear their story this week. Again, watch that every day, 9:02, 3:02, and 7:02. And if you don't catch it during those times, on demand on our YouTube, on our Facebook, on our Roku channel. So all kinds of stuff.
Did you see the museum ladies last week talking some local history?
Yeah,
they're
neat.
so cute. Man.
Yeah,
They're
that was really cool. Hey, I also wanted to ask you if you saw, we don't talk a whole lot of baseball, but the St. Louis Cardinals resurgence all of a sudden?
Yeah, they got off to a terrible start. Then they won like 8 of 10 something like that. They're right back in the race, man.
And aren't they averaging like 103 runs a game during that stretch?
Man, yeah, I mean, there were several games where they scored like 18 a game. It was pretty impressive.
And okay, so then next week after that, next Tuesday, Kevin Hilly will be on the Spotlight Show.
Yeah.
And he's killing his new Kevin Hilly's Talk of the Town.
Local radio star, and he does Talk of the Town, talks with a man on the street for us at Lake TV. You got to see that feature on Happy Hour. It's great.
With DJ Kyle continues to grow that show. That's going to do it for this week's Cup of Coffee.
Yep.
For Uncle Chris, I'm Wild Will. We'll see you guys next week.